Now it said before, it says after that great horn, after he won that battle, that great horn was going to be broken, and in its place 4 notable ones were going to stand up. So I was thinking, okay, could this have been fulfilled when the United States attacked Iraq under George Bush? And could George Bush be that first king that the prophecy said was going to be at the head of that beast? Well, we know we don't have a kingly power, but very literally George Bush did reign as a king. If you really know what's happening. And of course, they're not going to tell us on the media, but he did reign as a king. And Bill Clinton, you might say, is the second king, and I'll tell you why. Because we already know right now that we're not going under the constitutional authority. The media is putting on a show to make us think that we still are going under the Constitution, when in reality we're not. And I'll give you a good example. Again, like I always say, last year when we sent our 2 planes to bomb Garazda, or I guess it's in this area. When we sent the 2 planes to bomb Garazda, Bill Clinton was in church. The command was given by General Sir Michael Rose, who was the United Nations ground commander. We've already given our whole U.S. Air Force over to the United Nations. Again, when we were debating whether we should go to put Aristide back in power in Haiti, Congress was debating whether Clinton had the constitutional authority to send troops over there to Haiti. Well, that was just a front, because even while they were debating, troops were already being sent over there. Right. The thing was already on its way to go while they were still debating whether he had the constitutional authority. The fact of the matter is he didn't have the constitutional authority, but they were still going down there. So what authority was he going under? He's obviously going under his own authority while we go out and play golf and while we go out and do everything else. Our country has been sold down the drain. We don't even know it. So again, it's very easy to look at George Bush as the first king, because pretty much all the powers that a king would have, our presidents now are operating under. And the Congress is going through all the motions of debating these different issues for those of us that don't really know what's going on, so that we can get some semblance of due process. So that we can think they're still going through all the normal channels. It's really interesting. But anyway, in Daniel chapter 8, what Daniel saw in that chapter was so hideous. In verse 27, it says that after he had seen those things, that he fainted and he was sick for a certain amount of days. And then it talks about afterward he got up and did the king's business. He said he was astonished or horrified by the vision, but nobody understood it. In Daniel chapter 11, we find the account of the angel coming to Daniel and explaining to him in greater detail what he had seen in the 8th chapter of Daniel. Because Daniel fainted. He was no good for a long while, but there was still more to the vision that had to be commented on. So when the angel Gabriel came in Daniel chapter 11 to tell him what happened, he was telling him that, there's going to be a confrontation between these powers, between these Islamic nations. Of course, he didn't know that they weren't Islamic at the time, but between this ram and the goat from the west. And after the final confrontation between the goat and the west, they're going to be totally destroyed. They're going to be totally destroyed for the most part. But something is going to happen to the west too. There's going to be a great power struggle. There's going to be a great power struggle, and there's going to be a great war. And from all I've been able to put together, it seems like the attack from the north. Think about it in terms of a world war. Think about it in terms of Russia right now, who is so economically deprived. Zhirinovsky is going to convince them that they have absolutely nothing to lose. They might as well just go for broke and invade Israel. And not only are they going to go by themselves, but according to the prophecy, they're going to have Libya, which is, let's see, you have Iran, Afghanistan. They're going to have Libya, Ethiopia, right here. And we also know that Sudan is also a real powerful Islamic nation, Khartoum, and all those different places. So he's going to have a whole coalition of nations with them to go into Israel and to invade the land of Israel. Well, is the United States going to sit by and allow Russia and Libya and all these Islamic nations to invade Israel with all the money and everything else that we've invested in Israel? It's going to be all-out war. And it's going to be so horrible that when we get to Revelation 13, the only thing that we see of the bear is his feet. The only thing we see left of the lion with eagle's wings is the lion's mouth. The only thing that's going to be left, the number one power at the time, is going to be the leopard beast. The secret societies who have been pulling their strings to cause the conflagration in the first place. That's the way it looks to me.
So this confrontation will be brought about to bring about the New World Order, or that'll be a result of the New World Order?
No, it's gonna be brought about to bring about the New World Order. Let me show you something out of here. Remember this? The whole reason why I wrote this paper is because I noticed something in reading Daniel chapter 7 and Revelation chapter 13 and Revelation chapter 17 is that when you see that beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, it's a little different in Revelation chapter 13 because the horns have crowns in them in Revelation chapter 13. They don't have any crowns in Daniel chapter 7. And they don't have any crowns in Revelation chapter 17. So what happened to give them crowns in Revelation chapter 13? Also, I noticed that, there was a convergence of the major powers in Revelation chapter 13. So God shows us Revelation chapter 13 after some great event has happened to give them crowns. If I were to give you a crown right now, if I had the authority to give you a crown and to will you my empire, well, that would be your outward symbol of authority that I'm placing on your head. Revelation chapter 17, I believe verse 10 says that those 10 horns that John saw on the beast were 10 nations that at the time that John saw the vision, during the time of the Roman Empire, had received no kingdom as yet, but they were going to receive power as kings for 1 hour. The very fact that they have crowns on their head is a fulfillment of the prophecy in Revelation chapter 17, verse 10. Does that make any sense? Every king that I've ever read about had a crown on his head. And when he's decrowned, that also means that he's been dethroned. Now, these 10 nations right here, as I've shown so many times, are the 10 horns that John saw on the beast. That at John's time, that in John's day, didn't have any power. But after the United States is pretty much leveled, and after Russia is pretty much devastated in this war, there's not going to be any opposition. Then the people of the world are going to be saying, who was like unto the beast and who was able to make war with him? Because there's not going to be any more United States. There's not going to be any more Russia. There's going to be just enough to oppress what's left of the world into receiving the mark of the beast. But it's going to start with that world war that we're talking about. In fact, all through this book on externalization of the hierarchy, they talk about how the world war is going to be fought in 3 stages. 2 stages have already gone. Now they're setting the stage for the third. For the third.
Second World War.
Well, that's what we call it. We call it the First and Second World War, but they look at it as just different stages of the World War. That's how we look at it. They tell us one thing, but reality is,
So they're saying
something
first
different.
and second stage, meaning First and Second World War, and
Yeah.
what happened, and now we're just waiting for the third.
The third stage.
So we just kind of look towards Iran and Syria in the next few years.
Well, pretty much the Islamic nations, because you can't leave out Bosnia. See, the whole thing it's more an Islamic thing. It's more the strategy, as I look at it, is stirring up the Islamic nations who already have an intrinsic hatred against the nations of Israel and against the West. The reason why they hate the West is because of our support of Israel, because Israel would not have been able to do what they've been able to do without money from America. And because they know what we've been doing. They know what's behind the scenes with this United Nations depopulation plan and all this different stuff.
That's what they
So,
call it, the evil empire.
well, that's why they call us the Great Satan.
Great Satan.
But now notice what the prophecy says. This last prince of Persia is going to use all of his wealth to stir up everybody against the power from the West. And then it says that a strong king is going to stand up in the West, and he's going to go and he's going to have a conflict. And after his conflict, his kingdom is going to be divided and plucked up towards the 4 winds of heaven, and there's going to be a power struggle. And basically, that's where we're headed towards that right now. So.
So this Third World War has to come in the next 2 years or so.
Well, it looks like it.
And this attack that's going on in Bosnia is really the start.
I think it's just
It's agitating the
Exactly.
Muslim nations
exactly. It's a provocative
against us,
exactly
basically.
against us and the UN, giving them a reason for war.
Right.
Not only that, but Chechnya, the Republic of Chechnya. Why didn't we do anything about that? Outside of the fact that we don't want.
Don't make sense. Yeah.
Outside of the fact that we don't want to get into an all-out conflict with Russia, another thing is that the Chechnyan Republic is an Islamic republic. That answers the whole thing right there. They're stirring up the hatred of the Islamic nations against against the West. They're setting the stage for World War III. they have to have an enemy. They have to have two, opposing sides fighting.
Do you think it's true? Nostradamus says that nuclear hits will be shot from Islam to us.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
New York City will be destroyed, and the new city will be destroyed, and so forth. But according to what you said, if America is to be disabled, there have to be more destruction than just New York City.
Oh yeah, they have so many specific targets, and not only that, but there are terrorists that have been coming in here for years, into our country for years. This country could easily be leveled. I'm not going to say leveled, but we could be severely crippled by a massive jihad or a massive campaign of terrorist attacks. Look how vulnerable the World Trade Center